Chapter 2, the economy. Number 1, Idaho is the number 1 state for growing potatoes. Nevada is the fastest growing state. From 1990 to 2000, its population climbed from 1.2 to over 1.8 million. The most. More fish and shellfish each year come from the Pacific Coast states than from any other region, about 5.8 billion pounds, valued at about $1.4 billion. More fruits, nuts, and vegetables are grown in the West than any other region. California is number 1 in lettuce, broccoli, cantaloupes, grapes, strawberries, peaches, almonds, figs, nectarines, lemons, and plums. The biggest. Redmond, Washington is home to the biggest personal computer software company in the world, Microsoft. Economic activities. As we travel through the West, we'll take a look at different kinds of economic activities. A region's economy is the way the region uses its natural resources, goods, and services. How do you think the people here earn a living? Do you think they work on ranches? Do they build airplanes and design computer programs? Maybe they cut down trees? Many people do earn a living doing these jobs, but we'll see people doing other kinds of work too. Look at the map on the opposite page. How do the people in the West use the land? When people think of the West, they often think of ranches, so let's visit one. Buckaroos, cowpokes, and city slickers. Did you ever hear of a cowpoke or buckaroo? I know that you've heard of cowboys and cowgirls. Well, they're all names for people who work at ranching. Ranchers raise cattle and sheep to sell. Feeding a whole herd of cattle or sheep can take mountains of food. Luckily, their favorite food is grass, which covers more than half of Montana, Wyoming, and a lot of other western states. Usually after a summer of grazing, it's time to fatten the cattle up. Do you have any idea what it takes to fatten up a 1-year-old steer? It takes at least 25 pounds of feed and 15 pounds of grain every day. Do you want to help round the cattle up? In Western movies, cowboys round up the cattle on horseback. Many still do, but today's ranchers also use 4-wheel drive vehicles or even helicopters. Ranching has changed from the old days. From tree to pencils. Think about a tree 16 inches across and as tall as a 10-story building. That's a rather big tree, don't you think? Well, that tree keeps you, just you, supplied with wood products for 1 year. If you find that hard to believe, remember that people, building supplies, baseball bats, pencils, and about 10,000 other items are made from trees. Many of these trees grow in the Great Northwest, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. Nearly half of all Oregon is covered with big trees. Logging is big business here. Trees are cut down and trucked to mills. Seedlings, baby trees, are being planted too. In 1 year, over 80 million seedlings were planted here in Oregon. One day, those seedlings will supply your children with the wood products they need. Eureka! Have you ever heard someone call out Eureka? That's what people sometimes yell when they discover something very special, like gold. Someone must have yelled Eureka in Nevada because lots of gold has been discovered there. Gold is a very rare metal used for jewelry. It's beautiful and it's very expensive, right? Did you know that gold is also used in many other things like computers, radios, and even space buggies? The United States is the second largest producer of gold in the world. Most of it comes from Nevada, the leading gold-producing state. In some places, gold is mined in deep underground tunnels. In Nevada, there are many open pit mines. You won't see much gold in the mine, just rock. It's hard work to get pure gold out of this rock. First, the rock, or ore as it's called, is blasted out with explosives. Engineers know just how to do that so no one gets hurt. Next, the gold is separated from the ore. Finally, the gold is melted and poured into molds to make a bar of gold about the size of a brick. peaches, lettuce, and more. There is a huge, long valley in California where more fruits, nuts, and vegetables grow than just about anywhere else on planet Earth. It's called Central Valley because it's in the center of the state. It's about 450 miles long and 40 to 60 miles wide. That's a bigger area than some states. California has over 70,000 farms, and many of them are right here in the valley. Look at all the fields of lettuce, broccoli, cantaloupes, grapes, and strawberries. There are miles of orchards. An orchard is a field of fruit trees. Trees in these orchards hold peaches, almonds, figs, nectarines, lemons, plums, and apricots. Believe it or not, California is the #1 producer of every fruit, vegetable, and nut that I've named. This food doesn't just grow by itself. California farmers and farm workers plant, weed, pick, and care for it. Agriculture is a big business in California. It has brought in more than $26 billion in 1 year. Silicon Valley. We're off to visit another famous valley in California. Have you ever heard of Silicon Valley? If not, don't look for it on a map because you may not find it there. Ask anyone who lives in California and they will direct you to a cluster of towns with Spanish names like Santa Clara and San Jose. These old towns are high-tech today. Do you know what silicon is? Silicon is used to make computer chips, the tiny boards of transistors that are the brains of computers. If you think that this is a big business these days, you are right. Over 1/3 of everything California sells to other countries is produced in this little valley. As you can see, Westerners earn a living in different ways: logging, farming, mining, and manufacturing. Now it's time to meet some of the people who call the West home. Let's find out about their culture, their special celebrations, history, language, and art. Let's find out why so many people are attracted to this region.